The idea through my somatic methodology is that we're not approaching our thinking to change how we feel. We're approaching how we feel to change how we think.
Yes.
And this is very different.
Yeah.
Because in talk therapy, you're left with the unfelt feelings that are associated with the stories. They're hunting your present moment. But what are you doing with the felt sense? What are you doing with the emotional baggage that's still wired to those stories?
Hello, Sah, and welcome to the podcast. I am so honored to have you here.
Oh my goodness, thank you. The honor is all mine. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to start with gratitude because I love to start everything with gratitude. Can you share with us three random things that you are grateful for today?
Oh, I've got them right here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm grateful that I don't have a physical flare-up today.
Oh.
You know, ever since my mother died, I've been dealing with like derealization, depersonalization, and pelvic floor tension.
Oh.
So 3 things that really set you off to have a
Yeah.
real fun day.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that I don't have a physical flare-up today.
Amazing.
I'm happy that I am very present. I'm so in my body today, you know? And I'm grateful that I just had an amazing phone call with my younger brother about really meaningful things like friendship and the future and perhaps exploring sobriety. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just listened to the podcast episode that you did with your sister, and it just warmed my heart. I loved the whole, and I want to talk about this. We'll probably circle back, but the relationship that you have with your siblings and that you had with your mom, and it started really making me think about the relationships in my life and my core. And I called my mom right after that episode. My mom is my Brazilian side, and so I was telling her a little bit about you, and it made me really realize, like, I need to do that more. Just the random calls and the check-ins and these the meaningful conversations. But I actually want to start with something you said. The second thing you were grateful for is really being connected and feeling present in your body. And that's so much of, I think, your message and your movement today. So can we start with what you do and who you serve? I know you're going through a little bit of a transition maybe, but and then what it means to be in your body and be connected to your feelings.
Okay, so many delicious
I know,
big questions.
These are big questions.
So who do I
with.
serve? So it's a little like someone asked me the other day. I was leading a retreat at the Omega Institute, upstate New York, and this other retreat leader was saying that she guides people to find their dharma, to explore their one-liner at what they do. And I was kind of like, I don't really know what I do, you know, and I'm so okay with it.
Yeah.
So the work right now, it's split between training as a medical chaplain.
Yeah. At Cedars-Sinai.
At Cedars-Sinai, so cool. Yeah. So offering emotional and spiritual support to the sick and dying. And the second wave of my training starts soon. And I will be focusing on the oncology population as a way for me to really face a heavy, big demon. You know, that's how my mother died. Yeah. And cancer touches every family at this point. So, and oh my God, I'm choking up a little bit. So I'm going to go right into that. And so through the clinical training as a medical chaplain, I have started to invite conversations about creating a death-positive space. And what does death-positive conversations mean? And essentially just taking out the taboo and inviting the truth that we're all going to die back into the conversation. And what does life even look like when you have your mortality as part of your day-to-day? Not in a, if you think about it too much, you are manifesting it. It's not. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
When you think about your death, when you think about your mortality, when you think about the finality of this experience, you live bolder, more
Yes.
exciting, more meaningful lives, you know? So that's some of the work. It's very clinical, very traditional, and then I'm able to step away from the clinical traditional space and speak to different audiences about the things I learn by the bedside, which are alarming because I get to work and train at one of the most prestigious hospitals in the world. So
Yeah.
I get to see A to Z people who are there because they have good insurance because of their job, or
Yeah.
people who have endless financial means. Because it's Cedars is known to be like the celebrity hospital.
Right.
So I get to see the A to Z, which I want to talk about this in more detail, which ties into the new book.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say about this, though, one thing I have noticed from being bedside at Cedars is that 60 to 70% of the elderly population that enters a hospital, that hospital, for instance, goes through it alone without social support. And what do we say about what is social support? No contact with their family and no friends. This is 60 to 70%, right? And I researched, so I was just out of curiosity, I put it into Google. I was like, what's the population? What's the stats of loneliness or people who enter a hospital setting that do it alone?
Yeah.
And it said 40%. I was like, this research is a little conservative because I am in person talking to social workers, talking to the medical staff, and everyone's saying some people at the hospital said 80%. And then I started to see, okay, some people, the medical staff say 80, others say 60, others say 70.
And this is sorry, these are people who don't have their family or friends coming and visiting, or how are they measuring this?
They have, it's not that they're not coming and visiting. They just don't have it, my darling. This is a mother who's lost contact with their daughter 30 years ago.
Oh my God.
This is a mother who's raised their children, but their children moved across the country to start their lives, to build their dreams, whatever it may be, and mother just stayed behind. A lot of that. Or sometimes it's the only other person in the room is a nurse or someone that is being paid to caretake. So I'm not saying that they're just not there because they're booked and busy.
Yeah.
I'm actually proposing that they're not there, period. And that is the most heartbreaking part about this work. Yes, it's awful to sit with people who are enduring these genetic mistakes that are so insane, that make no sense. A young family, a healthy guy all of a sudden has cancer in all these areas of their body and it's given 2 weeks to live. You name it, right? We kind of see A to Z. But the hardest part of it all, and why I think the message of this book is so needed and so alarming and is so important, and I feel so happy to have written it, it's because the inevitable fact that we're all going to age and get sick and die, and we're not prioritizing connection, we're not prioritizing friendships. Sometimes I get to be in rooms at Cedars and the room is covered in flowers. And it's wonderful to have flowers in there, but there's not a human body. There isn't the warmth of a set of eyes that can look back at you with curiosity, that can help you to just experience your inner world just by being with you without wanting to fix or resolve or move you out of that state.
You can feel it. You can feel the love as an energy in the room. Wow.
Yeah. So that's just one side of what I do, right? And now there's the other side, which I kind of make it short.
Yeah.
Because I went in a little bit of a rant there.
No,
It just felt like it was important.
all of that.
The only other thing the only few other parts, it's the somatic dance. It's helping people to, come home into their bodies, feel safe in their bodies. And then through feeling safe in their bodies, then we can disembody, which we can talk more about this a little bit later too. But we are doing this sort of somatic analysis of our bodies to see how much emotional baggage it's trapped. The ways that we just even like the ways our shoulders sit in our bodies, how our postures, like simple, beautiful, very easy ways to see how much emotional baggage we have stored in our bodies. How much have we processed the past? How much have we integrated the past? How much have we let go of the past? We can see somatically, so physiologically, how relaxed someone's body is. And that is the barometer of weight of the past versus freedom of the past. And through the dance, we are moving the emotional baggage out of the body, and then we enter sort of this really point of we catapult into the peak of the dance, which is a dance induced state of trance through repetition of movement. And through that trance is when we are able to receive these oracular messages, this divination, these beautiful, I need to do
Downloads,
this thing, the
aha
downloads,
moments,
the
yeah.
aha, the, oh my God, I'm changing
Yeah.
my whole life. I'm
Yeah.
changing my name.
Yeah.
I'm moving to LA.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
getting a divorce. It's like it just pours in. And
Yeah.
then, so that's kind of the two main sort of areas that I'm focusing in right now.
Okay.
And then obviously there's all the humanitarian work that I do too. But I think in terms of the two main things,
Yeah.
this is kind of where it's at.
I love this because I think we can, there's both of those are the core pillars that I wanted to speak about. Maybe we start with the somatic because I think it will all kind of naturally come back around.
Yeah.
So what you had said in the beginning of you're feeling grateful for being in your body, and most people are not, right? Most people are not really in their bodies or in our heads all day. Thoughts, processing, to-do lists, ruminating. You've talked about spiraling and looping. And so like maybe we just start with what it actually means to get more into your body and as a practice and then more into like techniques like somatic dance and your method.
Sure. Beautiful. So, you know, it's in short, the way to understand this is we are habituated to run away from discomfort.
Yeah.
Our entire lives are built around anything that's unpleasant, turn away, run away, distract, deflect, numb. And we see people who are, quote, happy as people who have mastered their capacity to run away from discomfort as quickly as possible. And don't get me wrong, no shame in the game, been there too. I was one of those people. I had mastered the gig. My calendar was booked from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., even if it was like time for this, time for research, time for reading, like it was just structured because that structured helped me to, as quickly as possible, always run away from feeling. It's important to understand as we enter the field of somatics, right? And this is my understanding. My understanding of somatics has come from Buddhist training, Buddhist understanding. So it will get traditional, but it's more Eastern understanding of body-based awareness. Yeah. We are habituated to see anything that's unpleasant or painful as bad. We immediately go to this is bad, therefore I don't want it, therefore get it away from me. In the understanding of somatics, it's to be able to uncolonize and unhook ourselves from this binary view that feelings, sensations, and emotions have duality to them. Yes, some of them have inflammatory texture to them, but in truth, they're not inherently good or bad. They're passing sensations. If we can start to harmonize with that background, then we can start to feel our feelings without stories. So the idea is that we have an emotional baggage from all the times that we weren't in our bodies because of the intense emotion that we're feeling, because of the intense environment that we're in, whatever it may be. Any experience that we've had in the past, challenging ones, that we weren't able to process what happened when it happened. Keyword, what happened when it happens, right? That's huge. When we start to process life as it happens, that's when you know that we are in our bodies. This is a very simple understanding. A lot of the times I would come up as a chaplain, we ask the nurses, how are you? How was experiencing this patient that died? You've been with them for 3 months. I'm fine. I'm going to go check on 432, whatever, you know. It's the compartmentalization, the shoving away, put away. Why? And I'll deal with my feelings later. But that later doesn't come because later is a glass of wine and Netflix. Later is ice cream and social media. You know, the later doesn't come. And what happens is we have the quintessential cliche, midlife crisis or cardiovascular problems. I mean, you plug in. There's some trauma therapists within the somatic space who truly believe that all of our illnesses come from unfelt feelings. I don't want to go ahead and say that, which I just did, but I don't want to.
No, but there's a correlation.
Yeah, there's a correlation, but I don't want to give it so black and white.
Yeah.
After a parent dies, after you lose a core foundation of your life, nothing's black and white anymore.
Yeah.
There's no straight line to anything. So you may hold on to that view or you may not.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we're able to process life as it happens without thinking it. The idea through my somatic methodology is that we're not approaching our thinking to change how we feel. We're approaching how we feel to change how we think. And this is very different.
Yeah.
Because in talk therapy, which granted, I'm so happy most people have a therapist these days. Not most people, in the little bubble that we are, right?
In LA.
Yeah, exactly. People have therapists, which is wonderful. And you're left with the unfelt feelings that are associated with the stories. They're hunting your present moment. So I think talking to your therapist about your problems, it's wonderful. But what are you doing with the felt sense? What are you doing with the emotional baggage that's still wired to those stories? This is what the somatic dance floor is for. This is what this whole body of work is for.
Yeah.
It's one of my students said, your work, Sah, is training people to take out the garbage without having to go through it. And I felt like that was so spot on because what I am an advocate for, you don't have to remember your past in order for you to heal.
Yeah.
You don't have to remember your trauma in order for you to transform your life. The idea that we have to remember all the assailants in our lives, all the perpetrator, all the harmful things, and we come to our therapist and say, I have 11 things I need to heal, or we come to whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like the story will just perpetuate more stories.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
You know how you feel in the present moment.
Yeah.
Your cappuccino comes not hot enough, you turn into a rage monster. Does your emotional response match the context of reality? If they don't match, that's a sign that you gotta do somatics, that you gotta come to the dance floor, that you must feel the unfelt feelings of the past.
Yeah.
If your emotions match the context of reality, that's when you know that you are actually well.
Yeah.
Are you sad when sad things happen? Are you happy when happy things happen? Are you happy for other people when they're happy? Are you sad with other people when they're sad? Not in this, I'm an empath kind of thing, not in that separatory kind of way, but in a genuine, I'm with you. You know, we're wired together.
Yeah.
So this is some of I mean, this is hours and hours of work we can discuss, but I just wanted to drop in just enough. I hope that's
No, and
enough.
I love all of this. And I think people have heard about this. And I think most people who are into personal development, you hear of somatic healing and you kind of get like, it's evolutionary. Look at animals. They shake and to get the fear out of their bodies. And for me, I didn't really realize that this is why I felt so good after. But like whenever I have a stressful phone call or anything, I love to throw on my shoes and go for a run. And then I feel so much better. I can respond instead of react. To me, that's my somatic healing or the getting the energy out. Why dance? And
but
why?
Can I throw a wrench there?
Oh yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can
please.
I question you?
Oh, question me.
Okay. Can I?
Yeah.
Not question you, but can I offer? It's how people say everything is my meditation. You know, swimming is my meditation. I'm a swimmer.
Yeah.
Painting is my meditation.
Yeah.
Running is my meditation. I come obviously very unorthodox, very non-traditional, very unconventional my approach, but how I had revelation, how I touched the field of non-duality, how I touched, revelation was in a monastery. It was in a very traditional setting. So I want to invite people to understand that yes, you can bring your meditation practice to everything you do. And there's specific ways of meditating, which qualify for the depth of transformation that an actual silent practice can offer. That on the side. Now, to talk about the running.
Yeah.
Running does make you feel better because it heats up the body, because it boosts all these endorphins, boosts all these feel-good chemicals.
Yeah.
Now, is running somatic?
Yeah,
this is the question.
Yeah, that's the question, I guess.
I want to go as far as saying that you're not wrong. It does offer you embodiment. You're actually able to be in your body, which is step one. Now, being in your body isn't the full scope of somatics. It's just the entry point. Yes, you got to come home into your body. You got to feel safe in your body. Wonderful. You're able to run. You're able to, your breath is changed. You can feel your heart. Yeah, your things are moving and transforming. However, the approach that I have towards somatics, my understanding, my training is, can you actually feel what's going on in your body as you're feeling it. Maybe as soon as you're
okay.
done running, can you actually pause before you enter the
Like I
house?
had
Before
something here. It was
exactly
and
before
then it's
you
moving and
take a
it's
phone call, before you go tend to your kids and your husband and whatever.
Yeah.
Can you pause after the run and just shift your gaze completely to your internal world? Can you allow your internal gaze to travel through your body? Where is there tension calling for my awareness? That's your key. And when the tension, oh, it's my heart area. Okay, you can go as far as saying, oh, it's grief. Or you may say, oh my God, I feel heat in my face. Obviously, maybe because of the run, but maybe you notice that's maybe
Moving.
anger or something is coming up, right? Or a tightness in the belly, whatever it may be. You can start at the place of saying anger, grief. I feel this, sense of rejection, whatever it may be, whatever feeling may be. Now, stop from going into why. A stop. To be in the somatic space, you got to stop yourself from saying, I feel this way because of this. The why perpetuates the narrative, which pulls you away from where? The body. So we want to not run away from the body, but be so here, so now. And what happens is so beautiful, dear. When you bring your awareness to that place in your body where you feel the tension, and you're able to actually drop the stories, be with the feeling, drop the stories, be with the feelings. Long enough, you notice that feelings, just like all of life, they have an expiration date. They run their natural course. Maybe 90 seconds, maybe a few minutes, But understanding that the light of awareness has power. The same way that a pile of garbage can transform with compost. Through the process of compost, it can become the greatest fertilizer. Why? It's because of warmth. It's because of the heat. Our awareness carries that same quality, has a quality of warmth. So if you bring warmth to a place of tension in the body, it will start to make its way up and out. But you gotta refrain from going to stories. If you want to stay in the body, you gotta refrain from going to stories.
I think you did a reel or something, and you mentioned a technique where you notice the feeling, let's say it's anxiety or whatever, and instead of going to the story, just name it. Unpleasant, 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 unpleasant,
exactly.
No longer that unpleasant.
Really? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't that so weird? That's why the reel's having a moment.
Yeah.
It's touching people because of it. Because if you really go to the body, and you can start with saying, oh, it's grief, it's anger, it's this, whatever. But then you're going to go to an even more subtle layer, to the felt sense, which has three main qualities: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And if you could just be with the unpleasantness of it, it's simply an unpleasant sensation. It's not a life sentence. It doesn't define you. It doesn't define your perspective. It doesn't define your life. But we are habituated into storifying every single sensation.
Well, we think it's going to make us feel better if we have a story that makes sense, but it never does.
It never does, unfortunately. It's a lot simpler to be in a body.
Yeah. So again, why dance? And tell us a little bit about the SAH Method that you've created and now certified over 250 teachers.
Yeah, it's all happening so crazy. So it all started during my mom's oncology journey before she died. During that process, actually it started a little sooner than that. But in short, and every day I would wake up, I would do my prayers, which you could call them affirmations or mantras, right? I would do a series of breathing practices. I would meditate. I would move my body in these really intuitive ways. And then I would dance. So the combination of these 5 practices were very intuitive for me. I didn't have a structure for them. And then I get this random, right? Nothing's random, but I get this email, actually this DM on Instagram from the CEO of Deepak Chopra's company saying, I love what you're doing. Come into the office. I want to meet you. And I was like, excuse me? Yes, 100%.
Yes,
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Naturally, it doesn't get bigger in the space, right? And so I go and they're like, yeah, we love this dance thing you're doing. Can you teach that at a retreat coming up with Deepak? And I was like, teach what? This because I would only teach the outcome. I would only show the dance. I wouldn't show all the steps that's gone into it. So next thing I know, I'm in this 5-star hotel with Deepak in Florida, leading the dance to hundreds of people. And it just started to create this momentum. And then from there, I was leading the dance on Chopra's Instagram account every Friday during the first year and a half of the pandemic. And that created this whole, this whole thing, movement. Yeah.
Literally movement.
Yeah. And then I was studying how certain moves, I had set an intention that this move is for this, and I would study how the response would be from the crowd. And slowly through that response, I started to create a movement language that was based on our 20 most, I guess I could say, basic emotions that all of us feel. So there's 20 specific movements that create the somatic activated healing language, that then through that, through doing, I call it, this is the burnout part of the practice, where we defrost, we unfreeze, we get warm, we feel our breath in our bodies, we feel our sweat, we feel the heart beating, and then from there, that's when we catapult into the trance, which is the dance part, which is when you actually can let loose. And in that dance, the background of that dance is a very simple statement. The uglier the dance, the more transformation is taking place. The stranger the dance, the more healing is taking place.
Wow.
And we have to do it lucidly. So no drugs or alcohol. You have to be sober in your body. And you notice how often, from having done this all over the world, when it's that part of the method, you really see how hard time people have dancing. They don't know how to move their bodies. They don't know how to intuitively start to invite movement. They don't know how to let the body unravel itself. We are not habituated into allowing the body to run its natural courses of letting go, of release.
Do you think this is all, I keep looking at you and you feel so familiar, because you're Brazilian, and Brazil is such a special place in my heart, and I am part Brazilian. But I wonder how much of it is, this like American culture and the way that we're raised here versus Brazil. It feels like different. And I actually had a question we'll get to later about loneliness in Brazil versus loneliness here or in Latin cultures. But do you think that's true all over the world, that we're not in our bodies enough? Or is it just... I don't know. I would love to.
That's a really good question. And I have to say, from having been from A to Z, right? Being at a global celebrity's home, to orphan center in Indonesia, to former slavery camps in India, like you name it. The only two places I haven't been at is a prison or a refugee camp. I can say that because of technology, we are deeply disembodied. And I don't want to knock it, because I can actually live a very dreamy, beautiful life because of technology. But if you watch my technology habits, they're very different. You would think that I'm consumed by the phone because of how much of my life is online. But it's the opposite. I just have I have somatic awareness of when I'm saturated, which means when I can't put anything else in. Have you ever had those moments in a driving city people have, where you have to turn down the volume to be able to see better?
Oh, I don't listen to anything in my car. I need quiet all the time, though.
You're aware
quiet.
of that you're saturated.
Yeah.
But so many people have to, I use this metaphor often for turning down the volume to see better, because that's what we're doing with our lives, you know? And we're not putting the phone down enough to be able to feel and to process. And all this to say, I still believe American culture is way more lonely than Brazilian culture, because we don't have this thing in Brazil of like, you're 18, bye, parents have with kids here. See you at Christmas or see you at Thanksgiving. In Brazil, it's like you want to live close to your parents. You want to live close to grandma. You want to be, it's just totally different.
Well, I think it's even more than that. And I wanted to share this because I'm Brazilian. My grandfather's Brazilian. My mom grew up in Brazil, right outside of São Paulo. And when I worked at Google, I had an opportunity to work in São Paulo for a few months, which is, working and living in a city is so different than visiting it. And I loved that experience so much. But one of the things like that stood out to me right from the beginning, because I was in sales and moving into the São Paulo office, I was so used to an American culture, like your clients come in, hi, nice to meet you, shake your hand. All right, let's pitch the program. Let's do the thing. Here's the products. I remember my first week in Brazil, we had a bunch of new clients coming in, and every meeting, we didn't even talk about the product. It was, how's your mom? What's your newest recipe for feijoada? Like, tell me this like little hidden surfing spot. I want to get to know you. And I'm like, we just spent a full hour, and then they leave, bye. And then they're like, no, I'm going to follow up later. And then they'll come back. And it was relationship first. And I'm like, and what really stood out to me was that I felt like that sort of permeates into your personal relationships. It becomes more transactional, right? Like, what can you do for me? And then what I can do for you. And then like, boom, boom, we're done, shake hands, versus I want to get to know you. I want to get to know the person that you are. And then, I mean, I feel like that ties into this
Oh my God,
so
massive.
much,
Yeah.
right? We're not really getting to know people.
And the hope for the book is two sides, right? It's understanding that if you're seeking spiritual enlightenment, which is the big goal on my manifestation board, right? I really want to pierce through the veil of reality. I really want to solve the riddle of being human. I know that this is not it.
Yeah.
I know that even though we're living very privileged, beautiful, eccentric, extravagant lives, this is not it. We know in our hearts, right? So I want to pierce through that. So if you're looking for a spiritual enlightenment, liberation to its utmost capacity, you have to do it relationally, because freedom in itself is relational. Remember that even the Buddha's enlightenment was relational. We can trace back to the story that is within the scriptures. It shows us that Mara, which is the personification of, I'm going to simplify, and I'm going to say the personification of evil for Buddhists. It shows that Mara asked the Buddha in the night of his enlightenment, how do you know that you're enlightened? The Buddha put his hand on the earth and said, Mother Nature is my witness. That statement holds so much profundity and severity to understanding that freedom is relational. You can't embody peace from your own side independently of everyone else and everything else. I only know that I'm peaceful if I can be with you and still experience peace. If I can enter, stepmother's house or whatever, your in-laws or your whatever may be, your classmates or your office or whatever may be, and can I still carry peace in my body while I'm relating to people who I deem to be annoying or bad or unforgivable or unlovable? Can I still carry the peace and the love that I have, air quote here, actualize in my bedroom in the morning, my meditation cushion? Can I carry it to the office, to the streets, to the car, to wherever? So I'm giving two sides of the book, right? To now kind of run back to it.
Yeah.
Freedom is relational, which means how do we get to be free? In community, right? There's a big statement that says what's broken relationally can only be healed in community. And if you think about all of our wounds, they don't start between you and you. It all traces back to something that broke in community, something that broke in relationship, something that broke between two people, So there's that foundation. And then the other side, I want to tell people, remind them of our fragility. And I want them to not go through the hard things in life. Like, mom is gonna die. One of your kids, whatever, may outlive you. I don't know. The hard things will happen. And you don't have to do it alone. And I guess I should say, you should not do it alone. You must prioritize connection versus productivity. You must prioritize relationship versus progress. We have lost the plot in a American capitalistic economy. We've lost the plot. We don't know how to be with each other. I'm only in it if there's something back. I'm only in it if there's reciprocity. And we know the longevity of connection, reciprocity is not part of it. Some seasons you're going to go through it that you are the one that's carrying the weight, and that's okay. Some seasons, you're going to be the one that will call your friend more than they call you. That's okay. Understand the context that they're in now. Some seasons they're gonna call you more than you call them.
Yeah.
It's just we're hoping that if I send a text message, you text me back. If I call you,
Yeah.
call me back. It's like this reciprocity. It's very much tied into the Amazon Prime lifestyle.
Yeah.
To
Or that you have to be everything for me, like all the things. Whereas like maybe you were saying this on a podcast, I can't remember which one, but you were saying like they're going to be your childhood friends and maybe they aren't going to be like in your business or, you know, like supporting your online endeavors, but they're going to be there when your mom passes away.
That's right.
They don't have to be there for every single part. And you're going to have different people for different things.
That's so important. Thanks for naming that.
Yeah. So when you with your work at Cedars-Sinai, which is just so powerful, and I love the direction that this is taking, and the fact that now you're going to be able to serve oncology patients, I'm sure that just feels like a full circle moment.
Now I have chills as you're saying.
Yeah. What is it that we can do? I mean, I think the first part of the question is, can you feel the loneliness? Is there a regret that you can feel from the people who don't have family? Do you think that it's too late? You know?
Yes, it's too late. That's the problem. This is why the book is an urgent call to realize that it may be too late. You may arrive at the last few months or few weeks or maybe few years of your life and you just didn't build connection and then no one really cares. Right now, people who are listening may feel, no one really cares right now. Right now, if you're listening, there is still time.
Yeah.
So paradox here, contradiction, right? Just so nature of my work to confuse you enough that you wake up.
No, this makes sense. It's the whole like nothing teaches you to live like death does. And what you were saying about your own mortality or someone else's mortality, it's when you start to really think about that you're like, maybe I should reprioritize. Maybe I should think about my values.
Exactly.
And my life.
Exactly. Yeah. And here's a really simple practice for people is next time you feel the urge to connect, next time you feel lonely, notice what you do. Probably go to your phone, probably buy something you don't need, probably eat a little bit more than you actually need, probably drink an extra glass of wine, probably whatever, plug in your toxic behavior that you do to avoid feeling lonely. Loneliness strikes in the body as a cue, same as hunger. We're overlooking the physiological, psychological, and spiritual deficiency of our culture for friendship, for connection. When we're hungry, we eat something. When we're tired, we take a nap, or perhaps you have a coffee. You know, sometimes we do the opposite of what we need. With loneliness, with the need for connection, it's the same. Yeah. We're doing the opposite. We may put up something on social media that addresses that feeling in the body, but it doesn't actually create connection. What I need you to do is either put the phone down and call someone, and I say phone, I mean social media, right? Because we're so consumed by it. Send a text message to someone or call someone and say these words: I need a friend. I need connection. Notice a trembling feeling in your body because now, because of how our culture has been habituated around the word need, you are seen as weak. You are saying the word that you should never say: I need a friend. I need connection. But notice what happens. You're doing two things. You're unraveling the past out of your body because you're feeling a strong feeling, and you're also making a friend, deepening connection. So two big, powerful things are happening for you. If you can, next time you feel lonely, name it and do something about it. Don't distract yourself from when loneliness strikes. Please, because connection is the cure.
Yeah. And can we touch really quickly on the you mentioned like your core group, you want a group of people, like tell the 15, the 50.
Okay, yeah. And I want to invite everybody. I'm going to give just a tiny newspaper clipping about it because I want people to buy the book and actually do the exercise.
Oh, there's exercises.
There's an exercise inside the book that helps you to get to know who are your core 15. You know, from the 15,
core 15.
Yeah, from the core 15 is how you get to know the core 5. But essentially, the research shows that we can only cognitively know, like our physiology of our brain's capacity can only intake 150 people at a time. So any season of our lives, give and take, we are in contact with 150 people, give faces, feelings, names, personality. We can remember 150 people. In short, the 150 are the people who are going to come to the once in a lifetime event, funeral, wedding. Cool. The 50, these are the people who are going to come to your big birthday bash. The 15 is where you have to focus your energy. In the 15, then we get into the 5. The 5 often for people, and this is the Dunbar research. This is this incredible social, I believe his title is social neuroscience, something like that, who's done all this research, and we quote him extensively in the book because this is so eye-opening.
Yeah.
The 5 are usually people's family, like your kids, your husband, that kind of thing, your partner or partners. And that's part of the 15. And this is the most important area because these are the people that are going to show up to help you when mom dies. These are the people who are going to pay your rent when you can't pay rent this month. These are the people that are going to say, hey, I'm going to take you on a vacation and not even worry about like, oh, can you pay me back? It's like these are the people who are going to show up and fly across the world when you get some bad news. They're going to just be there for you. We need people. So the 15, I'm not going to give any more information because it requires you to actually do a series of questioning to get to know.
I love that.
Yeah, because you really get to study, have I actually spent any time getting to know people in my life who I spend the most time with in a meaningful way that if shit hits the fan, if I don't have money to pay rent next month, I have someone to call. I know. You know, and we have to realize, I was in the sauna today and I go to this very bougie gym here in LA simply because they have all the things I want. Muay Thai, cold plunge, sauna, steam, blah, blah, blah.
I love all those things.
They have all the things I want. So I'm in the sauna today and I heard the stats and it was so alarming. I literally felt this physiological response in my body. The guy was saying that 60% of Americans don't have $600. And I'm joking, I'm thinking about this too. 60% of Americans don't have $600 in case of an emergency. If an emergency happens, they don't have $600 extra to their name. 60% of Americans. Does that make sense?
60%.
That's an insane number. So when we think about connection, when we think about loneliness, when we think about friendship, how are you supposed to get your brakes fixed if your brakes go off? How are you supposed to pay for urgent care? You know, like we're not thinking about this. This is why wealth inequality is so prevalent because we're so me, mine, and I, you know, and one person or two people in our lives. We're not thinking about the collective. We're not thinking about a culture of connectivity, of relationality. And that is an alarming thing. When I heard it today, I was like, oh, it broke my heart. That I was like, oh my God. So friendship can help you. And I'm not saying make a friend because when you do need that $600, I'm being pragmatic about it, but I'm offering a statistic that is so heartbreaking.
It's the village mentality, right?
That's right.
Yeah, we all pitch in when someone needs help. Wow. God, that is alarming. I had no idea.
It's insane. I heard today and I was just like, oh. I called my dad and I was like, yeah, he's like, maybe even more. Yeah.
You know what I think is ironic, and I know we're out of time, and I could have so many more questions, but something that came up, and I think I've heard you talk about this before, this like core group. What's ironic to me is that for a lot of people, those are the people in your life that you have the most conflict with. Those are the people in your life that you shun or you cast out of your life, but then it's like shit hits the fan or something happens, those are the people who are going to be there for you. So like, what is your advice to repair? And I'm speaking from I'm very close with my family, but my husband's family is, there's been so many different issues, and he loves his sisters and his brother and his parents, but nobody can get along. We haven't gotten together as a family for a long time. And it breaks my heart because I know if something happened, they would all be there. So it's like we're just wasting time, years, you know, not getting to know them. Not having
those words.
Yeah.
Say those words. We're wasting time.
But it's like I can't say that for, you know, as
Help
the,
him write a
yeah,
letter to
yeah,
them.
Yeah.
Be honest about it. Help him write an email to them or a text
Yeah.
message and send it and say it requires one person
Well,
to
it's
be vulnerable.
he is that. He
Okay.
has been that. It's the others that have
It's the other end of the
conflict with
equation.
each
Yeah.
other, and it's
Yeah.
like it's hard.
I mean, my advice, right? You asked
Yeah.
for advice.
Yeah.
It's
Or for anyone listening who has this kind of
yeah.
family, I think a lot of people have
Oh,
a
yeah.
really messed up family dynamic, but they
Yeah.
know in their heart that these are the people that are going to be there. So how
Yeah.
do you repair
Yeah.
so much damage that's been done?
Yeah. So when the word asking for advice,
Yeah.
I always shy away from it simply
Yeah.
because it requires a prescription, and I'm
Yeah,
not a
yeah. Yeah, and
prescriptive
you need
person.
more context. And
Exactly.
yeah.
But in short, I want to offer this. Those 5 or those 15, there's going to come a point, if you want a deepen connection, that you're going to have to let them into your inner world. And what does that mean? Is when this happens, it's not when you do this.
Yeah.
You see the language
Yeah.
difference
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
When this happens, I feel this. And when I feel this, these are the stories I tell myself. And when I tell myself these stories, these are the things that I want to do.
Oh, wow.
Example, when you don't call me back, or when you say you're going to come for Christmas and you don't come for Christmas, or you say you're going to come meet my newborn and you don't come for 2 years. I feel abandoned. When I feel abandoned, I think you don't love me. I think I don't belong here. I think I don't have anyone to lean on, whatever. And when I
Yeah.
think these thoughts, I want to go and drink myself to sleep. Or I actually do take myself out and I get blackout drunk. And then the self-destructive tendencies continue from there.
Yeah.
So if you can invite someone to that
Wow.
depth
I love that.
of understanding, it's 9 times out of 10, what I've realized is it's impossible for the other person, if they hear I feel, I think, I do, for them to still treat you the way they have.
Or to feel that they have to be on the defensive because it's not about them. Wow.
It softens the field.
I love what you said, like these are the stories I tell myself.
It releases the hook. It releases the blame. It stops with the, I'm the victim. You're the one to blame. You do this. It's just
We all tell ourselves stories.
Yeah, at some point, if you want to, I love the word you use, repair. And I think we should kind of stay away from healing more into repair. I think repair is the trendiest word that we should be looking at. So thanks for naming it.
You're welcome.
I think repair is so beautiful because it requires us to be crafty and rugged and to duct tape a broken pipe and to just do whatever it takes. And this inner revelation work with a partner, with a friend, with a family member, it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to soften the field. There's no way that if you tell someone, when this happens, I feel rejected. When I feel rejected, I don't think you love me. I think you hate me. It's impossible to not soften someone's heart, you know?
Oh, thank you for offering that. That is so beautiful. And this all has been, I mean, we've touched so many things, but they all feel like they've come together so beautifully. So thank you so much. Sah, I mean, we're going to put all the links. I cannot wait to read this book. What else do you have going on? How do people connect with you?
Oh, thank you, darling. Get the book.
Get the book.
Get the book, you know, and then come to the dance floor.
Yeah.
Come to the dance floor. Come dance with us.
I want to come dance with you.
Yeah, come dance with us online. And sometimes I do things in person or retreats and things. So look out. Sign up for the newsletter. Follow on social media. But my biggest prayer for everyone listening is read the book as a call to something urgent. You know, community is the cure. We can't do life alone.
Okay, last question. So what is on your vision board, or what is next for you to manifest?
Really good question. It's so insane what I'm going to say, but this is what's on my mind right now.
Do it.
Potentially starting a little farm commune in Zurich, Switzerland with one of my best friends. So spending more time there. And maybe I shouldn't say this out loud because I'm getting so much pushback from people here.
You put it out there. It's just energy.
This is what's really what's on my mind
right now.
That's coming up. You know, I'm just
cool.
thinking about the next 2 decades, and if I do live to my mother's age, I only have 22 years left. So I want to be able to you know, be in the mountains and care for people.
Yeah.
Come off the mountain to work with you know the unhoused at the hospital,
Oh my
refugees,
gosh.
or like whatever, and do that work in the city. But then come home to a little farmhouse in the mountains by a lake. This is
Oh my God,
this is the
I'm
dream.
seeing it all. I'm seeing it all. It just feels
Okay,
like
yeah.
peace.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
feeling. So I've been talking to my friend about it, and you know, it's the conversation has started. So thanks for bringing this out of me. Oh my God.
Put it out there. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Muito obrigada. This
Oh my
was so
God.
wonderful.
De nada.
Thank
What
you
a
so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you. You're wonderful. Thank you.